Hey everyone, Phase 2 is finally here. Or, well, it will be here in a few days depending on when you're watching this video. And with it comes quite a lot of content for everyone to enjoy. The thing is, on retail, when a new patch drops, it's quite clear-cut what you should do. It's all laid out pretty clearly for you to experience everything. In Classic, it's a bit of a different story. For this reason, today we're gonna go over a few things that you should be doing as soon as you can when Phase 2 drops. Because besides the obvious main event, which is the new raids, SSC and Tempest Keep, there's also quite a lot of content that you might be missing out on when the patch drops. And for this reason, I want to give you 8 things you should be doing when Phase 2 drops. So without further ado, let's get into the video. So, first off, one thing that is getting added in Phase 2 is the Swift Flight Form for Druids. There's 2 reasons why you want to do this sooner rather than later, and also, even if you're not a Druid yourself, why you want your Druid friends and guildies to get this done ASAP as well. First off, this is a very long quest line that will take you a few hours at least to complete, and the sooner you start on it, the less you'll be competing with other players for the later parts of this questline, which has you collect some items on mobs in the open world. So this is a reason on its own. But the other reason, and actually the second thing on our list in this video, is for you to be able to start doing Anzu for his famous mount, Reins of the Raven Lord. This mount is a low drop chance from Anzu in heroic Setek halls, and the only way to summon him is to have a druid in your group who has completed this questline. And if you want to get this mount one day and get started on it ASAP, you better get this questline done for yourself if you're a druid, or bug your druid friends or guildies to do it ASAP to do heroic Setek halls with them every day for a chance at obtaining this mount. Then finally, the more obvious reason why you want to get this done is because it allows you to instantly get on your flight form and fly away, as opposed to having the cast time to summon your regular mount. And also because this is the only way to grab herbs while flying. So yeah, if you're a druid, head to the druid trainer Loganar in Moonglade and start this questline and get it done as soon as possible. Moving on to the other important thing to get done as soon as you can is your engineering goggles. This helmet piece of gear is a new addition in Phase 2 and requires you to be an engineer to craft and wear it. Each class gets to craft a specific one. You can't just craft any you want. So unfortunately, for example, hunters cannot craft the leather ones, which would be awesome for us, but I digress. These goggles are BIS for some specific classes. Most of you will replace them with the Tier 5 helmet. But before obtaining the Tier 5 helmet, these goggles are gonna be BIS by a long shot for many of you. For this reason, I highly recommend crafting them for yourselves if you can spare the reagents and having engineering, of course. Make sure to check first if they're good for you though. To talk about hunters again, no hunter should ever craft these because the male ones are not that good, and also because they should never break their Beast Lord 4 set, but that's just one example. So these can be learned very easily by going to Honorhold or Thrallmar and speaking to your engineering trainer. They all require 1 primal nether and a few other reagents to craft. And as I said, for a lot of classes, they're BIS until you can replace them with the Tier 5 helmet, which may take a long time for you to get it from Lady Vash, so get these made in the meantime. Speaking of gear, let's now talk about the other important thing you should obtain in Phase 2, the PvP off pieces. Those are pretty much the same story as the engineering goggles. They're only BIS for a handful of classes, but until you can get something that's better, those will be your best option on these slots. They're sold inside the PvP hubs in your capital city from this NPC for the Alliance and this one for the Horde. They all require honor and a bunch of battleground marks to obtain. This may discourage a lot of you as PvP isn't everyone's cup of tea. However, keep in mind that Blizzard announced that same faction battlegrounds are enabled now and will stay enabled until the end of Classic TBC, which should make getting into battlegrounds way easier and faster, unlike the hours of queue time some of you experienced before this change. Also, now that Season 1 is over, all your leftover arena points have been converted into honor, so you should already have have some honor to spare on these off pieces. But yeah, as I said, those bracers, belts, and boots are bis mainly for prot warriors and feral druids. Then for everyone else, you will keep them for a very long time until you can replace them with something that's equivalent or better in SSC or TK. So make sure to get them as soon as you can. Moving on, let's talk about the new reputations, Ogri'la and Sha'tari Skyguard. Those are added in Phase 2, and if you want to receive the rewards they offer, you should start working on them as soon as possible. We made 2 videos talking about each one of those factions on this channel, and how to reach Exalted with them as soon as possible, which you should check if you're interested in that. But let's talk about why you may want to get these done quickly. Obviously, for Sha'tari Skyguard, the main reason why people want to reach Exalted with this reputation is for the mounts, the Sky Rays. Those are the first flying mounts in the game that aren't griffins or wyverns, not counting the engineering mount or the Cenarian Hippogriff, of course, which are both very expensive to obtain. But besides getting the mounts, you may want to do Skyguard dailies just for gold. These dailies give quite a lot of gold every day, and if you can spare the 30 minutes every day to get them done, you may find yourself raking in quite a lot of gold. Then for Ogri'la, to be fair, the main reason why people do the dailies for Ogri'la is because they also give reputation with the Sha'tari Skyguard. At least most of them. So you should check our Ogri'la video to know how to quickly get started on this and unlock the Sha'tari Skyguard dailies. So you'll find yourself hitting 2 birds with 1 stone here. But beyond that, Ogri'la doesn't have anything of interest on the Quartermaster. There are some items here and there that may be decent for you if you're not raiding, but beyond that, nothing of interest really. Which brings us to the other thing tied to Ogri'la, the depleted items. So those depleted items have a low chance to drop from any mob around Ogri'la, and you actually don't need to have a single point in reputation to obtain them. Once you obtain one of these, you can farm 50 Apexis shards and create an item from them. Some of these are quite decent, especially if you don't raid, but the most important one you're after is the Trinket, Badge of Tenacity. This is bis for feral druids, for tanking of course. So for the first few days of Phase 2, you'll see a ton of feral druids around Ogri'la farming mobs after mobs to obtain this item. But even if you're not a druid yourself, you may want to get some of these items on this list. Some of them might be quite decent for you. And besides that, you might be interested in getting the Trinket yourself, because it is bind on equip, meaning you can sell it on the auction house for quite a fortune, especially early on. So get this as soon as you can if you're a feral druid, and if you got one as a non-druid, congratulations on the gold. Moving on, the other thing you should do once Phase 2 drops is to get the remaining recipes added with this patch. Let's first talk about the new arrows and bullets for hunters, and warriors obviously. Those are made with engineering, and to obtain them you need to do 2 things, depending on which ones you want. For the bullets recipe, you need to go to an NPC in Shattrath, Wind Trader Lathray, near the Shattrath Tavern. He sells them in limited stock, so you'll probably have to camp him for a few minutes or even hours depending on your luck. Then, the arrows recipe is actually a drop from the Sun Fury Bowman in Netherstorm. There's quite a lot of them around, and the recipe isn't a super rare drop, so this is definitely gonna be easier to obtain than the bullets recipe. But yeah, get these recipes as soon as you can, because these bullets and arrows are gonna be the new bis for hunters, and they're gonna be selling like candy all throughout Phase 2, and until the Violet Eye arrows are added, probably in Phase 3 or 4. But that's for engineering. The other recipes added in Phase 2 are cooking recipes, and they're trained directly from the NPC Kylene in the Shattrath Tavern. You have the Fisherman's Feast, Hot Buttered Trout, and the Stewed Trout. The last 2 aren't really good for anyone, but they are really useful to level up your cooking, as at that level you'll find there's very few ways to level up your cooking, and you'll also find that you have a huge excess of barbed gill trout if you're leveling cooking along with fishing. So this is a great way to reach max level cooking very easily. But the Fisherman's Feast is the main star of the show here. This is the best food for tanks as stamina is their main stat. This gives basically the exact same stats as Spicy Crawdad, but it should be way cheaper to make as one huge spotted failtail and some other vendor items can make you 6 Fisherman Feasts. So this is gonna be what a lot of tanks will want to be using. And finally, the last thing on our list that you should do is to obtain the PvP faction gear. If you don't know what this is, in Phase 2, Blizzard added a bunch of blue PvP oriented pieces to each quartermaster around Outland. They require Revered and they're meant as a starter gear for people who want to get into PvP and don't have any gear to start with. So this is perfect for people who either just joined the game and reached level 70 recently, or for alts obviously. But besides PvP, these pieces of gear can be quite decent for you even if you want to get into PvE. Obviously, they require you to be revered with the factions to buy them, at which point you'll probably have gathered a lot of dungeon pieces that are gonna be better than this most likely. But for those unlucky slots that you haven't obtained yet, this can be quite a good option for you in the meantime. So go around the quartermasters around Outland and look for what you can obtain. And this marks the end of this video. As I said at the start, in retail, it's quite clear what you want to be doing, and in just a few hours, you'll have experienced everything the new patch has to offer. In Classic, it's quite of a different story, and my goal here was to help you guys know what to do when the patch drops, instead of roaming around like headless chicken, not knowing what to do first. And I hope I helped you a bit with this. With that, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, remember to give it a like and subscribe to the Classic WoW Curios channel for more content like this. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one very soon. Bye for now.